At 7:58 p.m., my phone buzzed with a group text titled Family Circle. Mom wrote, "Amber, we think it's best if you take a little break from us. You've been tense lately." 3 dots blinked, then vanished. Then my brother reacted with a thumbs up. That was it. A family vote. I stared at the screen, a reheated burrito turning cold on my plate, and realized they'd just cut me out with punctuation marks. If you're already wondering how a family can fire their own daughter, hit subscribe. This story doesn't go where you think it does. I didn't scream or cry. I just set the phone face down and whispered, "Okay." Then I logged into the account that had quietly financed every one of their lives, the Sullivan Support Fund. It had my name, my routing number, my anxiety attached to every dollar. It had started as an act of love 8 years ago, after Dad's trucking company went under and he called me from a gas station bathroom. Voice cracking through bad reception. "Pumps declined again, sweetheart. I just need a couple days to float it. You know I'll pay you back." I believed him. I always did. That night, I opened my laptop and wired him the first $4,200. It felt heroic then, the kind of thing daughters did in Hallmark movies. But those stories never show the part where the temporary help becomes a permanent line item. By year 3, help had mutated into habit. Mom's prescriptions, Dad's truck repairs, my brother's rent until he lands something stable. I kept paying because that's what good daughters do. They fix things. Every Christmas, they toasted me like a family accountant. "Amber keeps us afloat." I used to think that was affection. Now I know it was branding. My boyfriend at the time, Ryan, once joked, "You treat your family like they're clients who never sign the checks." I laughed then. But that night, I sat awake staring at the ceiling, realizing he was right. Some people get addicted to chaos. My family got addicted to me. So when that text came, "You've been tense. Take a break." It didn't hurt. It clarified. I renamed the shared account on my screen from Family Support to Sullivan Ledger. Because if they were going to treat me like a bank, I'd start keeping records like 2 days after the group text, my mother called me using her Sunday voice, that mix of guilt and sugar she used when she wanted something. "Amber, honey, don't be mad. Your brother just needs a small favor. His car broke down again and he's supposed to start that new job on Monday." "New job?" I asked. "The one he quit last month?" Silence. Then, "Sweetheart, don't make this about the past. That was the thing. About my family. Everything inconvenient was the past. Debt. Promises. Accountability. The past was their landfill. I'd been their insurance policy for 8 years, and I was starting to see the script beneath every request. It always began with "Sweetheart," followed by "Just this once," and ended with "You've always been the dependable one." Dependable. That word had once felt like a compliment. Now it sounded like a collar. I looked around my apartment, a third-floor walk-up in Dayton with water stains on the ceiling and a thrift store couch that smelled faintly of dust and surrender. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. "We'll pay you back soon. Promise. Don't stress yourself." They said that so often it could have been their family motto. Don't stress yourself. Right before they handed me another bill, I opened my laptop. The fund balance was lower than I expected. 2 charges stood out. One to a spa in Scottsdale, another to a resort in Arizona. I scrolled, heart tightening. Cardholder Clara Sullivan. The memo read "Wellness Retreat Deposit," I called her. "Hey, Claire Bear," she said, breathless like she'd just finished laughing at something. "What's a wellness retreat?" I asked. "Oh, that," she said. "It's this yoga and meditation thing. My therapist said I need to prioritize my healing." "With my money?" She sighed dramatically. "You always make everything transactional, Amber. This is for my mental health." "And what's it doing on the family fund?" Another pause. I could almost hear her eyes rolling. Dad said it was okay. Of course he did. I hung up before she could spin the guilt wheel again. My reflection in the laptop screen looked hollow-eyed, calculating. The kind of person who finally realizes she's been cast in the wrong role. I used to think I was the caregiver. Now I knew I was the collateral. That night, I opened a new folder on my desktop and labeled it Receipts. One by one, I screenshotted every transaction, every copay, every loan, every favor. I wasn't angry yet. Anger was loud. This was quieter, colder. The kind of clarity that comes right before you cut the oxygen line. By Thursday evening, a calendar invite appeared in my inbox titled Family Check-In. The emoji mocked me. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. The sender was my father. The meeting time was 8 p.m. sharp. The note read, "We just want to talk, sweetheart. It's been tense lately." That phrase again. Tense. As if my exhaustion were bad manners. I almost ignored it. Almost. But some part of me wanted to hear what performance they'd prepared this time. At 7:59, I clicked the link. 4 faces appeared on the screen like a low-budget tribunal. Dad sat in his recliner. Mom perched beside him, twisting her wedding ring. My brother, Kyle, lounged somewhere dimly lit, probably his girlfriend's couch. And Clara, glowing, hair perfect, sat in front of a fake plant backdrop, looking every bit the wellness influencer she pretended to be. "Hi, honey," Mom said first, her voice syrupy. "You look tired." "I wonder why," I said. My tone was flat, steady. I'd practiced calm like it was self-defense. Dad cleared his throat. "Look, we just want to reset things. Lately, you've been pulling away." "I'm not pulling away," I replied. "I'm stepping back from being your safety net." Kyle laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "You make it sound like we're leeches or something." I didn't answer. The silence stretched until Mom rushed in to fill it. "Sweetheart, you know we appreciate everything you've done. But lately, your energy has been toxic?" I finished for her. "Go ahead, say it." "It's what you tell each other when I stop paying a bill." Clara exhaled dramatically. "God, you always twist things." "I didn't make you pay for anything." "You offered?" "No, you expected." There's a difference. The air thinned. On screen, Dad's jaw tightened. He leaned forward. "Maybe you should take a break, Amber. Clear your head. Everyone needs space sometimes." There it was. The script. The same phrase from the text. I felt it land inside me like a match landing in dry grass. "Okay," I said finally, almost whispering. "You want space? You'll get it." Mom looked relieved, thinking I'd surrendered. "That's my girl," she said softly. I smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that forgives. It was the kind that plans. When the call ended, I didn't cry. I didn't throw my laptop. I opened the Sullivan ledger instead and scrolled through 8 years of transactions. Rent, utilities, insurance, therapy bills, overdraft fees. A digital map of my own erasure. For the first time, I saw it clearly. The symmetry of it all. Their peace had always depended on my silence, and tonight, I had finally stopped being quiet. The next morning, I woke up to 6 missed calls and a text from Dad that said, "We didn't mean to upset you. Just give it a few days." A few days. That's how long they thought it would take for me to forget the meeting, swallow my pride, and reopen the fund. They didn't understand that I wasn't angry. I was awake. I made coffee, sat at my small kitchen table, and opened my laptop. The screen's glow reflected against the mug's surface like a spotlight on evidence. My cursor hovered over the bank login. I had checked that account so many times it felt like muscle memory. But this time I was looking for something different. Patterns, irregularities, proof. The balance looked wrong. Lower than I remembered. I clicked statements. There it was. A new transfer, $9,000, labeled Kenmore Business Equipment. I didn't recognize the vendor. Then another, $3,500, Wellness Retreat Balance. And at the bottom, a recent loan inquiry flagged as pending verification. My stomach tightened. I opened it. Application type, business loan amount, $80,000 applicant, Sullivan Wellness Collective. Co-signer, Amber Sullivan. Signature, my name. In cursive. My name. Forged so neatly it almost fooled me. For a second, I just stared at it. A strange calm seeping through the shock. My mother's handwriting had always curved the same way. The flourish on the S, the careful loop on the B. I could almost see her sitting at the dining room table. Pen pressed too hard, whispering, "She'll never find out." I called the bank. The woman on the line introduced herself as Carmen. Her voice was warm, efficient. "How can I help you today, Miss Sullivan?" "I didn't apply for any business loan," I said. "But apparently I co-signed one." There was a pause. Keys clacked softly. "I see the application here. It's under review. Can you confirm the business name?" "Sullivan Wellness Collective." Another pause. A quiet inhale. "Ma'am, that account lists your mother as the primary contact." Of course it did. I thanked her, ended the call, and stared at my hands. They weren't shaking. That frightened me most. I wasn't shocked anymore. I was clinical. I started printing everything. The application, every transaction, every message. Pages covered the table like forensic evidence. For years they'd called me dramatic. But there's nothing dramatic about math. That evening, Dad called again. I didn't answer. Then Mom texted, "Don't overreact, Amber. We were going to tell you." I typed back, "You already did. Just not with words." Then I powered off my phone. The hum of the refrigerator filled the apartment. Steady, low, indifferent. It felt like applause. Tomorrow, I decided, they'd get their family meeting. But this time, I'd be the one holding the ledger. Sunday afternoon arrived gray and windless, the kind of day that made even the city feel like it was holding its breath. My family had set up another video call, subject line, casual check-in. I laughed when I saw it. Nothing about what was coming would be casual. At 2 p.m. sharp, I joined. Faces blinked onto the screen like they'd been waiting for the curtain to rise. Mom's hair was done. Dad wore a collared shirt like he was trying to look respectable for the judge. Clara leaned in first, voice coated in honey. "Hey, Am, we just wanted to clear the air." I met her gaze through the screen. "Let's." Dad jumped in, trying for authority. "You didn't have to cancel the fund. You could have just talked to us." "I didn't cancel it," I said evenly. "I closed it." "Big difference." Mom's eyes widened. "That money was keeping us afloat." "No," I corrected gently. "I was." A pulse of silence filled the grid. Then Kyle muttered, "God, here we go." I clicked share screen. My desktop appeared, neat folders, clean lines, and one open spreadsheet titled Sullivan Ledger Docs XLSX. Rows of transactions glowed in pastel color coding. Rent payments, tuition, truck repairs, prescriptions, even Clara's wellness retreat. Each cell had a date and note beside it. "This," I said, my tone still calm, "is every payment I've made for this family since 2015. Mom covered her mouth. Dad's face lost color. Clara tried to scoff, but her voice broke halfway. "You actually tracked all that?" "I had to," I replied. "Otherwise, you'd still be calling me dramatic instead of accurate." The numbers scrolled down like a confession. Total, $186,940. When I stopped scrolling, the quiet felt heavier than any shouting could have. I clicked another tab labeled If I'd Kept It. A bar graph appeared. Savings, retirement, a modest house down payment. "My phantom life, those are the numbers," I said softly. "What I could have had if I hadn't been your safety net." Dad looked away first. Mom whispered, "You didn't have to humiliate us like this." I smiled faintly. "You already did that, when you forged my name." The words landed like glass breaking. "What?" Dad said sharply. I opened a PDF on screen. Sullivan Wellness Collective. Loan application. $80,000. My signature printed neatly at the bottom. Mom froze, her knuckles whitening. Clara's image stuttered, like even the Wi-Fi didn't want to carry her expression. "I spoke to the bank," I continued. "They've flagged it as fraud. Pending investigation." "Amber," Mom finally said, her voice small. "We were going to tell you. We just needed a jumpstart. It was for all of us." "It was for you," I corrected. "You taught me that love means sacrifice. But you forgot the fine print. Sacrifice isn't ownership." Dad leaned forward, voice rising. "You'd ruin your own family over money?" I met his eyes. "No, you ruined it over greed. Then I clicked Stop Share. The screen went black except for their stunned faces. You wanted space, I said. I'm giving you distance. And with one quiet motion, I pressed Leave Meeting. For 2 days after the call, my phone didn't stop buzzing. Notifications layered over one another like falling debris. Dad's messages swung between rage and begging. Please fix this before we lose the house. Mom's voicemails trembled. You've gone too far. Sweetheart. And Clara's texts came in all caps. You ruined us. I didn't answer any of them. I just watched the notifications appear, fill the screen, then fade into silence. By the third morning, the buzzing stopped completely. The quiet that followed wasn't empty. It hummed. I poured coffee, opened my laptop, and checked my accounts one last time. Everything looked clean. No shared logins, no automatic transfers, no quiet drains bleeding out my paycheck. For the first time in 8 years, every dollar I owned was mine. It felt strange, like looking in a mirror after years of seeing only the reflections of others. That evening, my neighbor knocked on my door. Mr. Delaney, the retired mailman who always wore the same flannel jacket. He handed me a small envelope. This was in your mailbox, kiddo. Thought it looked important. The return address read First Franklin Bank. Inside was a letter. Suspicious loan application. Investigation closed. Application voided. Account secured. Carmen had kept her word. I sat at my table for a long while, letter in hand, realizing that if I'd waited even one more week, that forged signature would have turned into $80,000 of debt and a lifetime of resentment. Instead, all that remained was paper. That night, I made dinner. Nothing fancy, just roasted vegetables and rice. No takeout, no panic purchases, no family emergencies bleeding through the phone. I ate slowly, letting the sound of the fork against the plate remind me that no one was depending on me to fix anything. Around 9, Ryan texted for the first time in months. Heard about what happened. Proud of you. 2 words in that message cracked something open inside me. Proud. Of me. Not for paying, not for saving, not for holding everyone together, but for finally letting go. A week later, an unfamiliar number called. I almost ignored it, then answered. Amber Sullivan? The voice said rough and low. This is Uncle Joe. We haven't talked in a while. Uncle Joe had left Ohio 20 years ago. My parents called him selfish for moving away. I heard what you did, he said. Good for you. You're not the first, you know. Your dad pulled the same thing on me back in '98. You're just the first one who shut the faucet off. When the call ended, I cried, not out of sadness, but release. I wasn't the villain. I was just the one who finally stopped paying the ransom for everyone else's comfort. A year has passed since then. My life is quiet, intentionally small. I still live in the same apartment, but it feels different now, like it belongs to me. I walk to work, cook dinner, and check my bank app without dread. Every number stays the same because no one else has the password. Last week, Mom sent a photo of the family at Christmas. Smiles too bright, gifts unopened. The subject line read, Family still means something. I didn't reply, because it does mean something. It means knowing where love ends and self-respect begins. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're instructions for how to love me correctly, or not at all.